What is up, everyone? This is Dave from Econ Crew, and today I'm going to be talking about how you can expand your product reach by using Amazon.ca and expanding into the Great White North. If you are an Amazon seller and you wish to increase your sales by 10 to 20%, you can easily do this by tapping into an additional 35 million potential customers. How? By looking into selling to our friends from the Great White North up in my very own Canada. If you're a seller who uses Amazon.com to sell and market your products, then there's an important thing you need to know. You're not reaching the Canadian market. This means there's a significant number of people who you could have easily marketed to had you tapped into Amazon.ca. There are multiple reasons why selling on Amazon.ca can be beneficial for your business. First, reaching out to millions more will definitely help you increase your sales. Canada's population is about 10% of the US, so doing the math, you could potentially expect about a 10% sales bump. But I'll get into why it's actually going to be more than this in a second here. Second, the competition on Amazon.ca is less stiff compared to Amazon.com. You can take advantage of this fact and establish your brand early, as you now get a first mover advantage. And third, you can use multi-channel fulfillment to ship your orders from your own website to Canadians directly through Canada. This avoids duties and long transit times, which will help you get even more orders directly on your website. And finally, Canada has a so-called harmonized sales tax schedule. This means that collecting sales tax and remitting it in Canada is far easier than the nightmare that exists in America. Now, with all this being said, I don't actually recommend that every single seller starts selling on Amazon.ca. Before you even consider trying to establish your brand in the Canadian market, make sure that you've maximized your potential on Amazon.com. There's an old saying, if you chase two rabbits, both will get away. This means that you should have already, number one, sold on your own website. Number two, launch PPC campaigns, specifically AdWords and Bing ads going to your own website for the US market. Have an email list that you've done some direct email marketing for, and also tried other channels, potentially eBay or Etsy, depending on what products you sell. Once you've done all of these things, you're ready to start venturing into Amazon.ca. Now, before we begin though, let's start by distinguishing between North American remote fulfillment, or N.A.R.F, and actually sending physical inventory from your own warehouses into Canada. N.A.R.F is a program where Canadians can buy your US inventory stored in American warehouses, and Amazon will ship it directly into Canada for those Canadian customers. However, import fees and shipping are a lot higher for Canadians when they're buying from N.A.R.F, so the advantages are not the same as actually physically sending an inventory from the US into Canada. If you use N.A.R.F, your sales are not going to be as good as if you actually physically sent inventory into Canada. So with that being said, let's talk about doing that, sending inventory from the US into Canada. To begin, let's first talk about some misconceptions about doing business in Canada and selling in Canada. The first thing a lot of people get worried about, and their first misconception about Canada, is that our product regulations are a lot different than in the US. Now, it is true that some product regulations are a little bit different in Canada, but for the most part, products that you can sell in the US, you can also sell in Canada. And often, many of the certifications that you get in the US are also valid in Canada. Now, this definitely varies by product, but just know that often you don't really have to worry about getting any additional certifications for your products in Canada. Now, there are some English and French labeling considerations that you need to be aware of, and we'll link up to an article that we have on our website below. These are not nearly as burdensome as you think. A lot of times, all you need to do is declare your product specifications in French as well as English. The next misconception I want to talk about is the need to set up a Canadian bank account. Good news is that there's no need for you to do this. Amazon can automatically convert your Canadian funds and revenue into US dollars. The next misconception is that you'll have to pay income tax in Canada. Now, this is a big topic, and we are not accountants here, so I want to be careful what I say. But Canada and the US have income tax treaties. Now, with that being said, talk to an accountant, and most importantly, even if you don't have to pay income tax, you will most likely have to pay sales tax. But just be aware that likely you will only pay income tax either in America or in Canada. Again, talk to an accountant, but that's some good general advice to go by. And finally, the last misconception is that you as an American can just wander up into Canada and start working nilly-willy. Well, the truth of it is Canada is a whole different country, and you would need work visas if you actually want to work in Canada. Now, sending your products into Canada and having a 3PL ship your products or Amazon ship your products, totally A-OK. But you going up into Canada and getting a job at McDonald's, that is not going to work unless you get a Canadian work visa. I'll bet you're getting excited about selling in Canada, eh? Well, before dipping your toes into Canada, there are a few things you should be aware of. In Canada, we use LOONEys and TOONEys as our currency, otherwise known as Canadian dollars. That means that your prices in Canada are going to have to be adjusted accordingly. And the Canadian dollar is worth a little bit less than the US dollar, so that probably means that your prices in Canada are going to be higher. Another thing to be aware of is that Canadian duty rates often are higher than America. America actually has relatively low duty rates. This means that you need to be aware of what duties you're going to pay going into Canada, and you should account for this in your pricing. The other thing that you want to be aware of, and this is probably the hardest thing about selling into Canada, is that to get your products into Canada, there are no partner carriers that you can use through FBA to get your products from America into Canada. That means that you're going to have to arrange logistics and shipping on your own. And finally, you also need to have what Canada calls a business number. This is similar to an EIN that you would get in the United States. This business number is actually relatively easy to apply for. We'll link up to some documents and links down below where you can get it. Your customs broker that you'll work with in Canada can actually apply for this business number for you as well in most cases. It's very easy to get a business number. This business number is going to be your lifeline when you're selling into Canada. And once again, it's very easy to get, so don't be intimidated by this fact. Generally, it'll take you about 10 days to get your business number, sometimes quicker, sometimes a little bit longer, but budget in about 10 days to get your business number. When you're sending your inventory into Canada, make sure that it's delivered duty paid. In Incoterms, this also stands for DDP. If your inventory shows up to an Amazon FBA warehouse and Amazon is expected to pay either duties or taxes on it, you know what they're going to do? They're going to reject it and send it back to you. So make sure that your goods are delivered duty paid. That way they're going to get checked into FBA warehouses in Canada just fine. And finally, the last thing I just want to touch on really quickly is sales tax. Everyone's a little bit nervous about sales tax when it comes to selling internationally. The good news is that filing and remitting for sales tax in Canada is relatively simple. Thankfully, Canada has something called the harmonized sales tax, meaning that most of the provinces kind of use the same GST number, and that means that you will remit for most provinces on one form. And that form that you're going to be remitting on is very simple. It's only a couple lines of numbers that you'll have to fill in. So compared to the US, which is very intimidating and very complicated, Canada is actually quite simple to file sales tax in. Again, we'll link to some documents down below where you can read up more on this. So hopefully that gives you guys a good overview of what it's going to take for you to start selling in Canada. For my businesses and my brands, selling in Canada has been an absolute coup. Canada accounts for over a third of all of our sales, and you know what the best news is? Our margins are way higher in Canada than they are in the US, just because of the fact that competition is so much lower. If you haven't started expanding into Canada, I highly recommend it. And again, hopefully you guys found this video useful. Check out the links down in the comments section below, and we look forward to hearing more from you. Until the next one, happy selling.